So move over Chris Christie. Now we've got the communist mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio. He stands accused, so we have this big snowstorm yesterday, of retaliating against New Yorkers who didn't vote for him by failing to plow the streets where they live. I'm not making this up. Now, think how, first of all, how petty that is and how serious that charge is. I mean, what if an ambulance, this was brought up in Bridgegate, couldn't make it to a hospital because of de Blasio's petty obsession with political revenge? Somebody could have died, which, you know, according to Democrat rule of evidence, would make de Blasio guilty of felony murder, which is what they were saying about Christie. Anyway, from Mediaite, with the snow pouring down in almost an inch an hour, the city's public service is slow to a crawl. I mean, it was brutal here last night, really bad. And it was then apparently that that important function of city government during such a powerful weather event, street plowing, became the preferred tool of retribution against newly minted mayor Bill de Blasio's political foes. Huge swaths of the city's wealthiest neighborhood had not been plowed by early Tuesday evening, leaving the one percenters out in the cold, according to the city's own map of snowplower activity. How much do we pay for the map of snowplower activity in New York? Anyway, it's according to the New York Post, he's trying to get us back. He's very divisive and political, Upper East Side resident and mother Molly Zhang Fast told Post reporters. This is more than merely one individual's perception to support the damning charge. The Daily Beast, Brian Reese, noted that at 4:23 p.m. yesterday evening, as the snow began to fall at an overwhelming pace, that the Upper East Side in New York, as it's known, by the way, they still have rats, bed bugs, they still have mice and roaches. 10 rats for every person in New York, according to estimates. Anyway, so they were just absent, and they avoided these streets. So the Upper East Side, where de Blasio's chief rival for the Democratic mayoral nomination in 2013 performed the strongest. In fact, an overlay of the areas that have not been plowed, the areas of the city where former city council speaker Christine Quinn performed strongest, makes the connection almost impossible to ignore. So they chose, basically, I mean, that's kind of consistent with de Blasio's class warfare rhetoric, his redistribution, to each according to his need, from each according to his ability rhetoric. I mean, that's consistent with, you know, he's been railing ever since he got on the campaign trail about New Yorkers in the city's outer boroughs against the affluent residents of Manhattan. And it was time, his supporters believed, to even the score here against the city's wealthiest residents. I'm sure Democrats will soon be discussing this. I'm sure this will be an obsession on NBC News tonight. So de Blasio off. During the first storm, they take a picture. He shovels. Did you see that? The mayor went out on the storm a couple of weeks ago. He's shoveling at 5 a.m. He's one of us, the people. Well, now he outdid himself. He wasn't out there shoveling. He was out there maneuvering the plows into neighborhoods that voted for him. He is from Brooklyn. Now, if you're like me, you might say, well, New York, you elected him, you got him, you deserve it. And actually, there's a part of me that kind of feels that way, and I don't live in New York City. I don't really give a rat's behind, speaking of rats. But when you see the electoral map from the election, the Upper West Side, Upper East Side, was the only area of Manhattan that voted solidly, Upper West Side voted solidly for de Blasio. They got plowed. The other outer boroughs, they got plowed. The people that didn't vote for him didn't get plowed. Didn't happen. You know, I've said many times, I'm a conservative. I don't have any party loyalty. I like ideas. I want solutions. I like the idea of limited government. Why? Well, the de Blasio story kind of explains it. Government that has extensive power can use that power to reward and punish their friends and their enemies. Isn't that what they're saying about Christie now? De Blasio can leave streets unplowed. Why? Because they didn't vote for him. Christie's people, according to the allegations, can shut down traffic lanes, even though Christie had nothing to do with it. No evidence whatsoever. But now, weeks later, it is still the story du jour on NBC. By the way, you know he didn't plow between specific avenues, too, right? Like Gracie Mansion is on East End Avenue, and that area was not included in the non-plowing map. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. I guess this is why we hate politicians. This is why the 65% of us can't stand them anymore. And it's both parties. Remember the cry, Halliburton. in the Bush years. Well, the truth was Halliburton was the only company equipped to do many of the jobs needed in the Persian Gulf. Unlike Halliburton, look at Obama's friend Solyndra. There was a good investment. Hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars thrown down the drain. Company run by Michelle Obama's college roommate. They were given a no-bid contract to set up the Obamacare health website. How's that healthy website-y thing working for you now? That's called crony capitalism. That's called big government, out-of-control bureaucracy. When government uses their power to extort your hard-earned money, give it to their friends, it's wrong when Republicans do it, and they do, and it's wrong when Democrats do it. I'm kind of amazed a little bit at the pettiness, though. I mean, this kind of takes it to a whole new level because Christie's people closed down traffic lanes. Again, his people, not him, but he's taking the brunt of it. Get back at people for not voting for him. Now de Blasio doesn't plow streets for people that didn't vote for him. Is that really the type of people we're looking to be in government? Be they a supporting cast or be they the elected official themselves? Just basically people, petty thugs that have forgotten this concept that they're supposed to serve the public. And that, now to come full circle, and we're going to check in the next hour with the Lieutenant Governor, David Dewhurst of Texas, who invited me to come to Texas in the nicest way. And he mentions public servant. They are supposed to serve you, not the other way around. But it's now working that we are serving them and their blind ambition and their radical agendas. We're serving them. They're not serving us anymore. They're serving themselves. And a lot of this, unfortunately, we take. And we kind of get government we earn, we deserve. You get the government in the end that you deserve. Texas deserves no state income tax. Florida deserves no state income tax. All the other states that have no state income tax, they deserve it. New York, you deserve nearly 10% state income tax piggybacked on your federal tax. Same thing, high taxes in New Jersey, Illinois, Michigan, California. We deserve what we get.